Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and having a great day. So a couple minutes ago, Bitcoin for the first time in its history hit $3,200 per coin, which is absolutely crazy, especially if you got into this many years ago and you saw how low the price was. I personally, not that I didn't think it would hit this high, but to see it actually continuously going up is something that is kind of crazy for me. So it rose by around 11% in a 24-hour period, which is great because, like I said before, if you've been into this for a while, there was periods where, Bitcoin would go up around 30% and fall down by 40% and go up 24% and it was down another 30. So it was every day was a huge struggle trying to figure out if this is what you wanted to do with your life. So during the same exact time, you might have guessed it, Bitcoin Cash has fallen by another 20% and is currently sitting around $224 a coin. You guys should expect tons of price volatility with Bitcoin Cash, and it seems like at this point it's just continuously going down. I think a lot of the August 1st hype has completely stopped. We know that SegWit is a thing now, and then Bitcoin Cash, is kind of the, it's not that it's being swept under the rug, but I think a lot of the fear of what it could be or what it could have been has relatively subsided in a way, so it's kind of nice to, just kind of move on with life and see how things are going. And because of that, a lot of this network fear and market fear has completely slowed down, or it's not being spoken about as much. Ethereum is up 8%, which is nice, especially if you got into Ethereum around January when I think it was $8 a coin, so you are probably smiling right now. Ripple and Litecoin are both up 5% as well, which is always great because I am very bullish on both of these coins. All of the original coins, as long as they have a good team working with them, as long as I look at the stuff that they do online and what's coming up with them, like these are the coins that I believe in, so these are the ones that I normally stick with and the ones that I tell you guys about because I think they have the greatest chance of making you guys money. So in 2017 already, you guys have heard me say the word ICO probably about 15,000 times. And there's a new thing that came out that said ICOs this year, so we are August of 2017, have already hit more than $1.6 billion in funding. That is billion with a B, and the year is barely halfway done. So in just July alone, ICOs made around $500 million, or rather people sent these people $500 million for the ICOs that were happening. And this is a 600% increase or growth from the year before, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think a lot of the hype and all the price things that happened were because of the things that were built on the ICOs that were coming from the Ethereum platform, which not that they took everybody by surprise, but nobody thought it would kind of get this crazy, especially to where we are now. And this is also in comparison to IPOs, that is initial price offering that happens with the stock market. Like there was one recently for, what is it called? Like Snapchat. There we go. That one. There was a huge IPO. Like all these things have IPOs. It's kind of similar to ICOs. And this is what the traditional markets do. And this year they have made around 22 billion. So, we are maybe, 10% of what they are. But you have to keep in mind, cryptos are only 8 years old. The traditional markets that we know now, the normal stock market, not what happened 300 years ago, is around 100 years old. So we're literally around 1/10 the age of it, and we're getting 1/10 of what their IPOs get, which is kind of crazy. And then also keeping in mind that most altcoins that are really used now are only 3 to 5 years old. So you got to question yourself for a second and think, these things that are really brand new are already catching up to the traditional markets because of the profits that can be made with these things. These things are not going to be ignored for much longer, and especially as the year continues to go on. I've been hearing a lot about new ICOs that are happening. I think there was one that's being spoken about that's happening in September. I'll try to find more information about that if it actually seems interesting. But yeah, these things are not going to slow down anytime soon, and I'm just waiting for one ICO to make half a billion or an actual $1 billion within, the amount of time that it's out. And that I think will be one ridiculous day that somebody can create something and then people just send them all this money. But yeah, these things aren't going to slow down. So like I always say, guys, for ICOs, make sure you do your own research. So Bitcoin Cash is now easier to mine simply because of the way that the system works. The very first day that Bitcoin Cash came out, I think I made a video for you guys saying that it was official because they were having a hard time actually finding blocks to mine. Normally, blocks aren't as difficult to find for other coins that are out and stuff like that because they have such huge amount of mining power behind them. But Bitcoin Cash only, I think, has via BTC and I think two other major mining pools with them. So it has been a bit of, it hasn't been easy finding these things. The first block for Bitcoin Cash took around 5 hours to find. That is a long time. While another one took around 13 hours. That's more than half a day to find one block that's in for a brand new coin. They don't have a lot of network power, but it's actually not, it's not that difficult, but it's actually pretty okay because the Bitcoin Cash's mining difficulty will actually automatically adjust itself as it sees, not much is happening within the network. So it has fallen and now it is easier for these people to mine it. And it's now sitting around 1 hour for a new block to be found, which is kind of great. I think that the price will hit around 100 something. I'm not sure if it'll hit 100 exactly, but I assume it'll float around the hundreds. And this is when I assume the price will go back up. If it goes further down, that would be wonderful. I've said before, I'm planning on getting some if it goes down that low, but I think at a certain point, it will hit a point that's low enough that people are like, okay, we should definitely start buying this. And the more people that have bought it, they're not going to want the price to go down. And this is when the price will start to go up for it. Who knows if it'll hit 3,200 one day, which is entirely possible. If Bitcoin ever hits 30,000 a coin, I think we may be in the process of seeing 3,000 for a Bitcoin Cash, but who knows the future? We didn't even know this thing was coming out 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is kind of ridiculous. So lastly, the Czech National Bank has released a statement saying that cryptocurrencies do not threaten the traditional banking system, and as such, they should not be feared. I think this is pretty interesting because I've said this before many times. We've heard a lot over the years from banks and, all these other people saying that Bitcoin is this and these coins do this and they can't do this and they're not as strong as we are, et cetera, et cetera. And there was even a call for it in a lot of countries that have said, these things should be banned, and they are not banning them anymore. They're now coming forward and saying, oh, they're not that bad. Maybe we should kind of give them a chance. And I told you guys this before. Rich people do not waste their breath unless they have something to gain from it. Like, they're not going to release any type of statement or anything like that. If it's not something that shows up on their radar, they have no reason to talk about it. Like, there are tons of other altcoins. They're not releasing statements about them. So this is something apparently Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are apparently very big in the Czech Republic, and they tend to be in a lot of countries that aren't as rich. That's not to say that the Czech Republic isn't rich, but they're an Eastern European country and they don't have as strong as an economy as Germany or France or the United States, what have you. So these things are kind of picking up speed in a lot of these countries. I told you before, they're also picking up speed in Brazil and Venezuela because of what's happening in these countries. So they go on to say that the constant price changes are one of the main reasons why they do not consider it a threat. They consider these currencies unstable, especially when it comes to purchasing something, which in a certain way, it actually is true. You guys have obviously seen the price fluctuations when it comes to doing things, but I'll put it to you this way. I have paid for things in cryptocurrencies before, and I regret it because I have seen the prices only rise after I have sent my cryptocurrencies to these companies, whatever they might have been. So this is what they say. They are not a threat simply because the prices go up and down, and they say that this does not happen with the dollar or the euro or whatever. Which is stupid because they do, but they're still pegged on a one-to-one basis, if you understand what I mean. If the value of €1 goes down compared to the US dollar, you can still walk into a store with €1 and still get something that is for €1. Yes, this is their reasoning behind it. But like I said, I think we are in the middle of something that is, I want to say unprecedented, but it kind of is because nothing else has happened like this before. We are seeing something where these banking systems that Bitcoin was created against, to kind of, push against, so that we have no need or desire to be with these things. These companies and these organizations and these governments are now buying up these cryptocurrencies, whether you know that or not, or whether you believe that or not. This entire year has been really crazy. The amount of governments and stuff that have come forward. I remember there was a huge thing with Russia. We were pretty sure that Russia and China at a certain point were going to ban it. Like, this was maybe a year or two ago. The price of Bitcoin had completely almost slammed down because there was a blog post of someone saying that Bitcoin was going to be banned in China and Russia, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's where the hash power comes from. And then they ended up not happening. And now we're at this point where these governments are like, yeah, it's not that bad. So the fact that they are now saying do not be afraid of them is kind of, I think, the next step to saying, maybe we should start buying them ourselves publicly. And if anything, these Bitcoin especially, a lot of people have been saying that they don't consider Bitcoin as viable to do things simply because of the slow transaction speeds, but they are using it as a store of value, and it seems to be working. If you bought Bitcoin a couple years ago, or you even bought it in, what was it, January or even summer of last year, you have made 10 times what you put into it, and you're sitting pretty right now. Yeah, interesting times ahead, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Hope you're all enjoying wherever you might be. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you.